Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us on KREM 2 News First at 4. I'm Tom Sherry.
It's good to have you here. I'm Whitney Ward. Big news today from the CDC when it comes to masks. It is now changing the metrics for when masks are recommended indoors.
So the number of new COVID-19 infections has dropped 65% just in the past 2 weeks. And recognizing that the nation is exhausted by the pandemic and all of the restrictions, the Biden administration is telling most Americans now they can start leaving their face masks at home.
Now, the CDC says it's now going to determine when face masks are recommended based on COVID case counts, hospitalizations, and hospital capacity. The most recent guidelines recommended masking for about 95% of the country. With the new policy, it's now closer to 30% in areas with a potentially high burden on healthcare systems.
We're in a stronger place today as a nation with more tools to protect ourselves and our communities from COVID-19.
The shift comes as a new Lancet study confronts the tragic toll of the pandemic. More than 5 million children worldwide have lost a parent or a caregiver to the virus.
The administration's newest roadmap says COVID-19 is here to stay, but may join the ranks of other viruses like the seasonal flu, continuing to threaten lives, but without throwing the nation into crisis.
We did reach out to the governor's office to see if this new science will affect our statewide mask guidance, which is in place until this spring. A representative with the governor's office said, "We have not had a chance to review the new guidance. Once that has happened, there will be a broader discussion with the governor's office and the Department of Health about its implications for our state."
Well, it was just 10 days ago the Kettle Falls School Board voted to make masks optional. That move was in violation, though, of the state mandate.
So in a tense school board meeting last night, the board reversed course. As KREM 2's Kyle Simchuk explains, the prospect of hefty punitive fines from the state led board members to reconsider.
This was by far the most bizarre school board meeting I've ever covered. There was so much yelling and shouting. Board members had very little control at times, but masks are once again required in Kettle Falls schools.
There were celebrations in Kettle Falls weeks ago when masks became optional in schools. They were required at tonight's school board meeting, and people weren't happy.
I'm asking for you to please put on a mask.
You guys realize how stupid that is?
I haven't worn one of these yet.
I understand that.
But I'm here to listen to what's going to happen to my kids.
At first, the state superintendent's office threatened to withhold funding and gave the district 20 days to comply. Superintendent Michael Olson said the district could afford to disobey the state mandate since it would be ending March 21st. Then the Washington Department of Labor and Industries gave him a call.
It could be as much as $70,000 per unmasked staff member. Do the math, that adds up pretty quick. If they were to come in and inspect, they could bankrupt the school district in one visit.
Superintendent Olson told LNI they would require staff to wear masks. The department said that would satisfy the complaint. Then yesterday, Olson says the governor's office got involved.
The rationale that they provided was that an unmasked student can pose a risk to a masked staff member.
The state said since the district willfully ignored the mandate, they could be fined for every unmasked student as well. The governor's mandate ends on March 21st. Excluding weekends and midwinter break, students would have to wear a mask for 13 more school days.
That's what we're talking about, 13 days.
It came down to a vote, 3-2 in favor of requiring masks once again. Board member Jaya Fowler voted no.
I don't want to see a bankrupt community or a school, but I want to take a stand for my children as well as the rest of the children in this community.
And Kettle Falls schools will be closed on Friday. The superintendent told me he just wants to give teachers a chance to regroup and prepare for Monday. In Kettle Falls, Kyle Simchuk, KREM 2 News.
We'll certainly keep you posted as that situation continues to develop. In the meantime, as we take a look outside right now, actually looks like a very beautiful day out there.
It sure does.
And it was cold. And here's the thing that I noticed. We were out running around today for work. In the sunshine, not bad.
Right.
In the shade, that's a whole other story. It really was.
I noticed the exact same thing when I was out running around this morning. Anyway, take a look at that. That's 28 degrees. We still have that live picture up of Lake Coeur d'Alene for you. Wind is out of the west-southwest at 6 miles per hour. At least the wind has died down. You can see the satellite and radar picture really showing mostly clear skies across the Pacific Northwest. Big changes on the way for our daytime highs. It still gets Cold tonight, but that's the last really cold night. Will be Saturday morning with a low of 12, then a high tomorrow of 40. Look for weather to move in the form of maybe some snow in the morning and then rain in the afternoon as we shoot for a daytime high of 42. I've got temperatures hitting 50 degrees next week. I'll cover that for you in the 7-day forecast coming up in a few minutes.
I believe it's time that we have a court that reflects the full talents and greatness of our nation.
President Biden has now nominated federal appeals court judge Ketanji Brown Jackson to replace retiring Justice Stephen Breyer on the Supreme Court. And this does fulfill one of President Biden's campaign promises to name the first black woman to the nation's highest court.
The 51-year-old federal appeals court judge is a Harvard Law School graduate who was a law clerk for Justice Stephen Breyer. That's the man she will replace if she's confirmed.
I can only hope that my life and career, my love of this country and the Constitution, and my commitment to upholding the rule of law and the sacred principles upon which this great nation was founded will inspire future generations of Americans.
President Biden formally announced Jackson during an event at the White House alongside Vice President Kamala Harris.
The next step is for Jackson to be confirmed by the Senate.
All right, coming up after the break, new information in our ongoing investigation about the Spokane shock. We're continuing to track the latest after the Indoor Football League confirmed it was kicking the shock out of the league entirely.